Andy.
Oh, well, what are you here to?
No, I just haven't seen Andy.
I don't.
Nobody has questions about the ending. We won't talk about that.
Plug your ears.
Yeah.
Just tell me when.
Okay. Okay. So, any questions? I'm not gonna give a speech.
No?
No?
I have just a general question about like acting in general.
Uh-huh.
Like, how did you break into the business? Like, how did you start, and when do you feel like you actually felt like I could do this as a living? And
Yeah. Well, I started acting in probably 1979 in high school. I was a football player and a running back, and I had a few colleges looking at me in my sophomore year because I was pretty good, and I went to a prep school outside of. I'm an inner city kid from Boston, from Roxbury, and I had the prep school looking at me, and they gave me a scholarship to go, and I was playing football, and I wrestled and all kind of stuff. I got hurt playing lacrosse. I ripped the ligaments in my ankle pretty badly, and I kept trying to come back, and I ran cross country, which was not my body type, and I played basketball, which was not my body type, and I did anything I could to stay in sports, and but my ankle just wasn't strong enough. So back then in the school I was in, we had morning assemblies, and everybody gave announcements of what was coming this week. And I don't know how I started, but I started giving announcements slowly, and people that were afraid to get up in front of it was probably about 500 students and all the teachers. And so people just started asking me if I would announce what they were gonna be doing on Tuesday or whatever. So I started doing that, and I started making it fun and funny and doing all kind of crazy stuff. And because of that, when it was kind of clear that I wouldn't be able to stay in sports, someone asked me to audition for a play. And I was like, play, get out of here. What are you talking about? I don't do that. I'm an athlete, And eventually it was, believe it or not, it was the Diary of Anne Frank. How Anne and the Jew, family of Jews during the Holocaust in Nazi Germany in the late 30s, early 40s, and I auditioned and I got in, and I played I was a 17-year-old kid, and I played a 65-year-old Dutch Jew, hiding the Frank family out. And, I was probably terrible, but, I would do the old, if you're 17 and, I was an athlete and, playing a guy who's 65, which is, in your head, that's really old, but now it's not that old, so I was probably, doing this at 65, but I had so much fun in the rehearsal process. I had so much fun learning about characters and how to break them down, and as much as they could talk about it or knew about it in a high school, and I just fell in love with that. And so after that, I auditioned for any character at the school because I still had about a year and a half left, and I got anything I auditioned for, and then. I didn't know what to do for college because I couldn't, the schools that were looking for me weren't really that interested anymore because I was damaged. So somebody said you should audition for theater schools, and I was like, oh, well, what's a theater school, and so they gave me a list of schools, and I auditioned for 3 schools: Boston College, SUNY Purchase, and Juilliard in New York. And I got into all 3, and you know, I had only been acting for maybe 6 months, 8 months maybe, you know, when all together, time-wise. And then, so I got into Juilliard, and I went to Juilliard, and spent 4 years there, and then came out, and I always thought that I was just gonna be on stage, you know, because it's all theater. And 2 weeks after school, I got my first film, and I started doing film, and since then, I think I've done about maybe 55 films, and, you know, just hundreds, if not 1,000 hours of TV, you know, so I just got, you know, lucky and fortunate, and, you know, I love it, and, you know, I'm pretty, you know, I'm decent at it, so that's how I started acting, but that was only part of your question.
Oh, no, that answers it.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
answers it. Yeah. What's been your favorite role so far, out of all those?
Yeah, that's impossible. Yeah, it's impossible. I mean, it's hard because there's so many films and work that I've done that, you know, people haven't seen, but it was like the best thing for me because it's not about what the film does or the TV show does. It's about the experience that I have and some of the friends I make, you know, that have just become my lifelong friends, and we have relationships long, you know, that long after the piece is forgotten, that relationship has, you know, just been solid ever since, and that's really what I like the best about what I do is being on the set and making friends, and you know, and that's just, I love that the most. Yeah.
Do you have any upcoming projects that you're working on?
Yeah, I did. I have a film called Gosnell, which is Gosnell, America's most prolific serial killer. That's what it's called now. It's titled, but it's not what you might think. It's about a surprisingly unknown abortion doctor in Pennsylvania, and it's about how this guy has for 30 years gotten away with a lot of late-term abortions and babies being born alive and then being killed by him. And so it's, you know, it's a pretty dark, and he's the only abortion doctor who's ever been convicted of murder. So I have that. I have a film called Patriots Day. Mm-hmm. It's about the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing. And I think that comes out in December, and that's with Mark Wahlberg and Kevin Bacon and John Goodman and Michelle Moynihan and J.K. Simmons. Really great cast.
Nobody that we know.
Huh?
Nobody that we know.
and really, that film is like a huge film. Peter Berg directed it, who's like just a fantastic director. And it's about it's almost like Crash, you know, all these separate stories of what people are going through during that day, before, during, and after. And I played the governor of Massachusetts, Deval Patrick, the former governor now. And so all my stuff is with Kevin and John Goodman, and it's about, you know, what do we do now about closing down the city, about just you know, from that point of view. And then they follow other people that in the story. It's pretty good. And then I did a pilot that just got picked up called Pitch, and it's about the first female to play in Major League Baseball. And she is, you know, a black woman in early 20s, and her father trained her since she was a baby, really 2 years old, to be a baseball player. And so she was called up, and she's you know, not, it's great because it's in league with Major League Baseball. It's going to be on Fox, and they're going to, you know, she plays for the San Diego Padres, so it's not like fictitious teams. It's real teams, and we're really in their stadiums, and, you know, it's awesome. We had just the run of the stadium, you know, for a little while down in San Diego, and I play her father, who trained her all the time. And I think that's coming out in March or so of 17. Yeah. And that's it that I have coming up.
You're so nice. How does it feel to be like in the 100? You know, at first you're such a, you know, not a nice guy at first, you know, but then you end up turning out to be, plug your ears, like the hero.
How far are you? What's the last thing you saw in the 100?
I've seen about 3 episodes.
Of
Oh
season
no,
3?
you gotta.
Yeah, you probably have to leave, bro.
Plug your ears.
There's a lot of shit that's happening. Unless you know, stay at your risk, because if we're talking about the 100 now. Yeah.
I make my mom leave my house with my nephew so that they don't interrupt me during the 100.
I know there's some fans out there of that show, yeah.
Yes, I mean, you turn out to be such a, you know, a hero and such a wonderful person, you know, at the end. And I mean, that last episode got me, you know.
That's a big episode.
Yeah.
And she kills you right away, like nothing.
Oh, that made me so mad. I mean, after you redeemed yourself. I mean, what is it like playing, you know, the bad person when you're so nice?
Oh, well, thank you.
I mean, do you get a lot of people that are angry at you?
Oh, yeah, tons. Yeah, tons. But you can never think of yourself as a bad guy. You can't think of yourself as a good guy or a bad guy, or, you get the script, and my job is to
Interpret that.
try to justify what I'm doing, based on who this guy is. What is he, what is his ultimate desire, his ultimate goal? And what is his history? And why is he the way he is? Why does he make the choices he does? And I think I knew that everybody would see Pike as the bad guy, and he's supposed to be the bad guy of the season until, the second
Right.
part of the season. But I could never play what I think I'm doing is wrong, at least in my mind as an actor.
Right.
Because if I do, then I'm just the bad guy. I don't have any, goals, any hopes, any desires. I think part of the reason that Pike is seen so. There are 3 things that create a character. Okay? The writing that's on the page, and you look at it, you try to work on it, you try to make it make sense. And if you have a problem, sometimes you talk to the writers and producers, and you try to, I don't understand this, I don't know why he would do this, can you help me out here? So you get that to the place. And then you're on set. And then it's the acting, and you try to do the best you can there. And then it's the editing, and most times editing, you'll be amazed at how much editing saves an actor. Because there are so many actors out there you wouldn't believe that can't get through a scene. If you have a 2 or 3 page scene, they just can't get through it all the time. They'll drop a line here, drop a line there, and they don't push through or whatever. They stop, or it's like, oh fuck, and so and if you're acting opposite them, obviously it's stopped. You have to
Right.
stop. So editing really will help that out, but editing really shaves. Like if I'm doing something, if I ask you to do something, and I feel a certain way about it, and and I see how you feel about it, and I understand that, you have a problem with it, like, okay, take for instance Pike and Bellamy. Mm-hmm. And I can empathize with you, and, at the end of a scene or so, I can help show that. I don't have to add lines, but I help show that, which I've done quite a lot in The 100. But when they go in and they edit it, and they cut off, you know, it's even 3-4 seconds, they cut it off, they start shaping a character. You know, they take away some of the humanity. They take away some of, you know, and they can do it not just at the end, they can do it wherever they want. That's what editing is all about. That's why we have so many shots, you know, we have a lot of shots. And because they have all those shots, they can do anything they want. Like if we shoot just a master or just a close-up, I mean a two-shot of the two of us in a scene, and that's all we shoot. All they can do is shave the top or the bottom. They can't go inside of it because they don't have anything else to cut. But they don't do that. For a good movie will do that at times because they really want the acting to stand out and the moments to stand out, and they trust their writing and they trust their acting. But you know, on TV, you don't do that. You cover, so you can edit. You can, you know, they have to worry about the amount of time because they have to fit TV commercials in because that's the whole point of TV. You know, they have to make sure that it only goes like 45 minutes or whatever it is for the actual amount of time for the show so that they can fit the other commercials in. So I feel with Pike a lot that a lot of the stuff that I did was, you know, was shaved, you know, because I think, you know, I definitely, he was the bad guy, there's no question about it, but I do think he had motivations. And the one thing I always say with people on Twitter is, I understand because you didn't see when Pike landed. No. You heard the story. But you've seen what all the characters have been through for 2 years, and you never see what Pike has been through. So in that time when Ian's character and Paige's character, when they landed, you see what they go through, and you see their transition from the sky to the ground. You see that transition. Pike was on the ground the same time they were, and you know, he landed in the Ice Nation, and it was like blizzards out, and the Ice Nation killed 15 of their children right off the bat. And then they spent the next 4 months trying to survive and being killed. And so that's Pike's reality that you don't get to see.
Were you gonna see it?
No, it's done.
I really liked
It was
that
never shot.
flashback where you got, you know, you showed the teaching everybody of the earth skills, and
Right.
you couldn't tell them. You knew what was coming, but you couldn't tell them.
Yeah. And that the thing, Jason, the creator, always said, he said, because that's episode 13, and he said, we should have probably done that earlier, like in episode 9 or 10 or something like that, so that you can give time, you know, with Pike to, you know, but he ultimately, he said, Pike has to die because he killed Lincoln. And because of, he said, you know, he saw Octavia's reaction to it when he kills it. So he said it's so powerful, it's so devastating that it's so powerful that she has to kill Pike.
I mean, I just did not see that. I mean, Pike redeemed himself, you know, and helped save everybody.
Right. Yeah, and saved her life like a minute before she kills him. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Octavia.
Huh?
But it's Octavia.
Yeah, that's right. But you know, it's funny because people, you know, you go like, look at what, I mean, everybody on that show has done some really questionable stuff, and people go, well, you killed 300 grounders while they were sleeping. You know, it's like, well, I can't kill them any other way, and they have to be killed.
Yeah.
There's 300 of them. Now, if it was season 1, everybody might have been like,
Okay.
yeah. But season 2, like actually the grounders are more loved than the sky people now. So, you know, that was, you know, they love Indra and they love, you know, obviously Lincoln and almost any grounder that is in the Ice Nation, except for Ronin, of course.
Right.
And so, what are you gonna do? It's just I fell into, because they actually wanted Pike to be a regular, and that was the intention. But Jason he said, you know what? Now that I see, I have to.
I mean, Indra was able to make it okay. You guys were able to make up in the,
Yeah, it's an argument you're never gonna win. 'Cause
I know.
Pike is dead.
Did you expect it to be such a big show? I mean,
No, I always thought, for me, it's like the CW, was more of like a teenagers network. And actually, I've had problems getting jobs with them because I didn't fit into their, the other jobs that I went up for, that they were like, nah, he's not a CW guy. He's not what we're looking for the CW, whatever. And I've heard that for like 5 or 6 years. And so then when the 100 came up and they, they said they're gonna use me, I was like, wow, the CW, wow. I thought I was not a CW guy, And but honestly, my experience on the show was so good, and I thought ultimately, save a few things, because nothing is perfect. I thought the writing and the characters were really strong, and I really loved all the actors. I mean, they're all really fantastic people. So I had such a great time. I would have loved to come back in season 4 and seen what Pike could do. Except I wouldn't want him to like Ian's character came to me. I wouldn't want to go that far. I mean, for me, and this is not Ian, but for me, his character changed like a 180. And I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want Pike to become like, a teddy bear or anything. I think he's a fucking, he's about survival. He's about saving his people. And that's, even at the end, it's like, look, I'm not trying to be a good guy. I'm trying to save my people. So now it's not about the grounders. It's about, the risk to the sky people is this AI.
well, you said everybody, so I
helped. I didn't.
You helped,
it was
yeah.
A lot of people. Me and
They
really,
couldn't
if
have
it
done it
wasn't for
without you.
Murphy and Pike and Indra, it would be over, really, because they saved Bellamy and Octavia and all of them. So yeah, it was. But
I have a question. You said, you talked about what a good experience it was on the show, and I've heard rumors that the actors are not always treated well on that show. So is some of that maybe sour grapes from some of the other actors, or is it just that it's a tough show to film because of the...
No, that's nothing.
scenes or-
That's Hollywood. I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately it's not a family, it's a business.
Right.
And I've done so many shows, and there's always an actor that has a problem with a producer, or actors that have problems with actors, or it's never not happened, and it will never not happen. Especially if maybe the first 6 months everything is hunky-dory because you're all excited, you're on the show, it's going blah, blah, blah. But after a while, personalities will clash, and things will, actors will feel, especially when you have a big cast like 100, somebody is not going to get as much as they want to get. It has to happen. There's no way you can have major storylines for everybody all the time. Impossible. Unless you have like a cast of 3 or 4, it's different. But when you have a cast of 10 or more, it's just not going to happen. So there's some details I don't know, but ultimately, I think you have to be, because one of the things I said about, people went nuts over, over Alexa's death and stuff. And, like, most of those kids, nobody knew who they were. I mean, they have careers now.
She's on Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah, but she's on Fear the Walking Dead because she was Lexa on the 100. And Ricky is on American Gods because he was Lincoln on the 100, you know, and even and people say, well, they worked before, and I go, yeah, but you guys didn't know who they were. You didn't know who
No,
Bob
they weren't.
was.
No.
You didn't know, you know, who Eliza was, and this has nothing to do with them. This is just the process of building a career. You know, they're all young, they're new, they're working, and they're all talented, and they're gonna. And the other thing is, the 100 is going to end, whether it's, you know, next year or 2 years down the line or whatever. It has to. It will, and they will have to go on to something else. You know, so. But you know what? I mean, I'm in my 50s. I've been around for a long time, so some things you just have to learn, and hopefully you do, but some things you don't. You know, but I think it's always going to be, you're always going to run up against difficulty with a producer or a writer or an actor. It's just,
So to lead into that, so in your career, you've had a long career. What was, since you don't have a favorite, have you ever had like just a bad experience on set? Like you're just so glad that was over when it was done. You seem like really positive guys. So.
yeah, it's hard because I don't put too much like, I don't make things too important, you know, so that I can get heard or whatever. I mean, as an actor, your life is really about rejection. I mean, mainly we get rejected. That's what happens to you. You go out, you try to get jobs, you know, you're gonna get rejected again and again and again. It's gonna happen way more than you don't get rejected. And so, I'm just always happy to work and to be hanging out. I mean, not to say that, of course I get down or whatever at times, but nah, I can't think of, no, I'm always pretty happy that I'm working and that I'm, you know, having fun and I'm a kid from the ghetto. I'm an actor. I'm making a nice living. I have a great family. So I have nothing to complain about. Yes.
So I never really questioned Pike's motivation. Like that always did make sense to me. I guess the only thing that drove me crazy throughout the season was just the logic, like the numbers game of trying to go up against that many grounders versus how many people you had.
The
And
300 you mean, or just in
all of them,
general?
just like going against like the ground after you had killed the 300.
Right.
And then now it's like out and out war.
Right.
What was Pike's thought like? How did he really think y'all were gonna beat all of them, like end game here?
Well, modern technology.
You done.
You know, how can 10 people kill 300 people? Because they have, you know, spears, and we have automatic rifles, and we have bombs, and we have, you know, and it doesn't, in Pike's mind, it doesn't matter because they're gonna come to kill us. So we either die laying down or we die fighting. But as far as he's concerned, they're coming. If it's not tomorrow, it's next week or whenever. They're gonna come because that's what happened to him for 4 months. You fight, you run, you try to protect your people, they keep coming. You fight, you run, you try to protect your people, they keep coming. They're gonna come to kill you. So if I die, I'm gonna die fighting. If you know, the room fills up and there's 100 people and there's only 5 of us, they're gonna kill me. So I'm gonna take as many as I can take before I die. Now, Pike, you know, ultimately Pike was wrong about these grounders, but when Lexa died, if Fish's character was in charge, they would come and kill us. So it was only because of Lexa, who Pike didn't know, but if it, you know, and even Lexa was gonna come kill us. You know, many times, you just never know. Pike didn't know Lexa, but all the trouble that, it's like with Bellamy, like they got betrayed a few times. And then when we got betrayed in Mount Weather, and again, that's when Pike lost a lot of children and a lot of his people at Mount Weather. And he decided, because of Bellamy, to trust